just look at that picture. What do you see in that picture? Anybody can... What? Tiffany box. How come that you know this? Huh? So isn't that amazing? So what I'm talking about today is culture inside, the culture that directs things. Products and services, they provide a function, but the culture shapes the brand. But both go together. I show you a piece of work I was involved with during my time in advertising as a Chief Creative Officer of Leo Burnett. And think about what the function is of the product, and think about what the culture is. Can we have sound? Sound, please. The what? No, it's...
New boots are like friends. They get better with age.
So the function of the product is to provide flavor in a cigarette for a man. That was the positioning. The culture is that this was defined within Marlboro country, means the West, the leadership, the educated man in the lead. That was the culture coming through this campaign. Now, on the left side, you see a photograph that I've taken from a picture that always was on my desk. Now, to auction that, what would you pay to get this photograph, that I send you the photograph to your computer? What would you pay? Anybody would pay $1 or $10 or $5? Who pays more? What? €5. Who pays more? €10? Okay, you 10. Anybody more? Okay, you all will get it at a certain price. Thanks for bidding. Now the picture on the right, what would you pay for the picture on the right? It's also a photograph taken from a photograph. 5,000? Yeah, you're kind of good. Huh? You know about this business. Well, you will not get it for 5,000. You might get it for 250,000, yeah, because it was taken by Richard Prince of the Marlboro campaign. So you three, you will get that. But it shows you what kind of culture has been produced on that brand. And in the most valuable brands in the world, you see Marlboro still at number 5, while Apple is at number 1. Now, this is what I'm talking about in the next 20 minutes. A product or a service provides a function. Culture shapes a brand. In shaping, building, and growing a brand's culture of creativity, values, clarity, authenticity, origin, heritage, and differentiation, as well as inventing and innovating its gestalt and voice, think local before global, dig into genius loci, the spirit and the experience of the place, dig inside people's lives, wants, needs, dig into customer behavior, dig into markets, dig for inherent drama, dig for the truth, make culture your strategy, discover it, create it, recreate it, adapt it, apply or merge it, rediscover it for the sake of creating value. Now, I will pick some of those in this presentation. It's actually a longer presentation, but I give you a glimpse of that piece of work. So the first thought, culture evolves from the spirit of the place. I mean, you kind of have seen it with Marlboro, but the most cultured, one of the most cultured filmmakers, Wim Wenders, that I know, he has a special way of working. He cannot develop a story and go to Hollywood and sell the story, and then Hollywood might throw some technology on it in order to make it fit for the world. He has to dig into a place. Now, listen to what he has to say about one of his movies.
So I was walking around Berlin, trying to find an angle of how to make a film in Berlin that was also dealing with Berlin, and thought of maybe children as leading actors, protagonists. I was walking around every day and made lots of notes, and I was looking for the story, and I wanted the city to suggest the story somehow. And on my walks I realized there were lots of angel figures everywhere in the city of Berlin, on houses, in old cemeteries, in most unexpected places. Berlin, when you really pay attention, is full of stone, wooden, marble angels. So on one of my notebooks I found a note, angels, guardian angels, as leading characters, and I didn't take that very seriously. I didn't erase it though like I would erase other ideas. It survived on the notepad. The idea came not only because of my walks through the cities and the reoccurring motif of angels in the city, it came also because I was reading almost every night Rilke. And of course all his poems are inhabited by lots of angels. Every second or third has an angel figure in it. Also because I'm a very old fan of Paul Klee's, and I had on my working desk a drawing of his, of an angel. So somehow in my work at the time the angels were present. So when finally I decided to take that little note, guardian angels as leading characters, ? seriously, I thought about it for a while, and then I called Peter Handke, who I was going to call anyway, to ask him if he could help me on the movie. And I told him I don't have much of a story. Actually, I don't have any story. I'm going to make a movie here in Berlin rather spontaneously. And Peter immediately said, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to write the script. It's the last thing I want to do in my life right now is write a script. I said, hold on, let me first tell you what I want to do. And I told him this very first rough story on the phone of an angel roaming the city. Maybe there were several angels. You would fall in love and then become a human being. And I asked him, do you think it's foolish? And Peter said, no, that sounds interesting. Maybe you come by and visit me.
Peter Handke then wrote 12 dialogues, which became pretty famous. The whole film became very famous. And you see the principle digging into a place. I mean, Wim Wenders spent 1 year in searching for material for the movie he wants to make. And that's the way he works. I mean, like Buena Vista Social Club, he was with Ray Cooder in Havana, and ran into this story, and then suddenly he had a movie which became so famous. Or Paris, Texas, he was interested in the phrase in the US, in the middle of nowhere. So they tried to figure out where is the middle of nowhere, he and Sam Shepard, and then went along and created Paris, Texas, which took them almost a year also to film the pieces. When I was appointed to Chief Creative Officer at Leo Burnett in Chicago, coming out of Germany, the first thing I did in 1986 to turn around Livet's thought, think global, act local, into think local, manage global. Because that was a concept that has heart and that has reality and that engages the people around the world for creating, rather than, you know, being at the mercy of a centralistic thinking. With that strategy, it was possible to have 27 agencies within 5 years that were appointed Agency of the Year in a local market. And you get that for performance, you get that for the quality, which becomes a discussion. And now, I give you two examples, one from Oslo and one from Malaysia, where we began to make locally cultured communication. And the film you see from Oslo, it's almost what we did without any knowledge, just had, like on stage, a camera and acted in front of the camera, and it became a kind of cult way of doing things. The Malaysian things has a lot of warmth because the society in Malaysia was very violent, and we thought try to have a very human approach for our clients. Just look at this. That was at the heart of the craziness of Scandinavian advertising, actually.
Her name is Umi. Umi Kazrina. I like her.
Why do you like her?
She wears earrings, she ties her ponytail. She's pretty.
What do you wish you could say to her?
Do you want to come on a date to a romantic dinner?
And does she know you like her?
No, I keep it a secret.
Why?
I don't want the whole world to know.
Why not?
Because everybody will laugh at me.
Why should they laugh at you?
Huh?
Why should they laugh at you?
She doesn't like me.
She doesn't like you?
My name is Umi Kazrina.
Who's your best friend?
Tan Hong.
Han Hong Ming? Do you like him? Do you have a boyfriend? Who's your boyfriend?
Tan Hong Ming.
So, in order to create culture, we have to have culture in the first place. I'll give you a couple of examples. TBWA, for instance, they've defined their culture with disruption. I don't have the time to explain what's behind it. Sachin Sachi, love marks, that is easier to understand. Crispin Porter, Boguski, baked in, or irreverence from Bartle Bogle Haggerty. Now I show you a couple of deeds behind irreverence and behind fame from Bartle Bogle Haggerty. The first one is this one. Now, this was the first piece of 27 years communication created by Bartle Bogle Hegarty under the idea of irreverence, provocation to society, and so forth, Marlon Brando, James Dean type stuff. And in Europe, Levi's actually could charge the double amount versus the United States for their jeans. Now, look at this one. That was the first commercial they did after they won the pitch.
Every year, the Schmidts, the Mullers, and the Reinhardts drive to their holiday villas. The Schmidts' car is slow and rather noisy, so when they arrive, they'll need another holiday to get over this one. The Mullers drive a big, thirsty car, which is probably at a petrol station somewhere between Munich and Marbella. The Reinhardts drive an Audi 100, a car so aerodynamic that it's capable of 125 miles per hour. Yet, at a steady 56, it slips along quietly for over 750 miles on one tank full of petrol. And the moral of the story is, if you want to get on the beach before the Germans, you better buy an Audi 100. Vorsprung durch Technik, as they say in Germany.
So that was the way they won the pitch, through Vorsprung durch Technik. And Vorsprung durch Technik, they discovered somewhere at a visit at the factory in Ingolstadt, and asked what does it mean. They understood, but at the time the function of the car with the four-wheel drive and with the aluminum body, that was a given, but the car itself had a lousy image in Germany. So 5 years later they created the TT. This Vorsprung durch Technik now became the culture, and you know what happened to Audi, especially those folks from Germany here. Sensational. But here a thought, a line suddenly changes the values of a company in a very dramatic way. So culture and counterculture, for instance, anybody knows the guy on the left side? What? It's Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc bought the first 3 McDonald's in California and made something out of it. On the right side, it's Carlo Petrini, an Italian who saw how McDonald's in 1986 built the service in the middle of Rome and was embarrassed. But, you know, not to be embarrassed about it. He started slow food, the slow food movement. And slow food today, over 120,000 restaurants around the world work after the concept of slow food. And out of slow food, a lot of new concepts are also in development. On the left side, you see a shopping picture from last November, and that was taken on Black Friday. You know what Black Friday is? Yeah, Black Friday. The picture on the right was shot because of a creation of American Express. American Express wanted to support small business, so they invented Small Business Saturday. And with some companies, they put that on the ground, and that will be a new culture to shop small business on Saturday. And they got Obama. They got over 1 billion transactions, yeah, just on that day. So culture to cult, quickly. I mean, what do have all those beautiful people in common? And you see it very quickly. Havaianas. So that is a cult brand developed out of Brazil. Before they had the idea to shape, to give it that cultural shape. When you left Havaianas at the beach, you know, it was there the next morning, but today it's gone in 5 minutes, especially in Brazil. Freitag bags, I don't know if you know that, but the culture is recycling. So when they built their shopping tower in Zurich, they bought 18 rusted containers out of Hamburg and assembled them, and inside it looks like a boutique in Roppongi, and outside you see how that is. So creating on the crossroads of culture, which is also very interesting. And this is a profile of one person who had the hippie culture, rebel culture, counterculture, design culture, technology culture, Zen culture, culture of implementation, culture of innovation, Bauhaus culture, animation culture, movie culture, music culture, and culture of entertainment, so to speak. And on the crossroads of these cultures, the guy developed his company and the products. Anybody knows that guy? Correct. That's him. So just give you a bit of a glimpse what came out of Bauhaus culture, because he had the link to Hartmut Esslinger, to Dieter Rams, Ulmer School. Ulmer School was established by Max Bill from Switzerland. He was a student of Bauhaus, and Bauhaus, one most important thing of Bauhaus is handling, easier handling. And you see Dieter Rams and Jonathan Eve, how similar those products are in shape, not necessarily from the inside. So one more little thing.
There's one more feature I want to show you, and it's actually a system-wide feature having to do with the keyboard. When we released the original iPhone, we revolutionized the way people would type on multi-touch displays. And we keep on challenging ourselves to make that even better. Well, we have a new variant of the keyboard in iOS 5 for the iPad, which we think people who like to type with their thumbs while holding it are really going to like. In the bottom right, you see the keyboard button, and now it has some grab handles. If I just take those and drag it up, it splits it into two.
So you know that if you have the iPad, but the main thing is the product culture, the phenomenal product culture that these people have, which actually clashed him with Jim Scully, who had a typical marketing culture. And he was ousted at Apple. So here is finally...
Here's to the crazy ones.
With his voice.
The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs
and those
square
are the
holes.
people he really admired.
The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So they crafted around the function a phenomenal cultural company, and you know, being the #1 in this world is very well deserved. So my last question is, what is my culture, my personal culture? Very hard to define. What is the culture of my brand? What is the culture of my company? And once you can boil it down to a couple of words or so, I think you can audit very well what you're doing. And it would be very nice if you look from time to time what we're doing at the Berlin School, where we help great creatives to become great creative leaders. And as I said at the beginning, if you want to download the app, bigwriteapp.com, that would be nice. Thank you very much.